So, yeah, very exciting subject today. So, the rise of the AI, the end of free money. To give a bit of background, I started my career in 2009 in the financial industry and then moved to tech about 5 years ago now. And I'm very excited about this discussion today with Amaury because those are very two big factors that I have impacted the tech industry. And Amaury is really on the front line assisting some incredible companies in France. And so I really wanted to hear his view on those two big impact on the tech industry.
First thing first, Charlie, thanks so much for inviting me on that smaller talk. Really happy like to share a little bit my point of views. Indeed, we're talking about it like just before. The professional environment is getting kind of interesting. So we're switching from free money to no fucking money, and we can definitely see that with some big companies. And we're gonna speak about that, more than me, especially regarding your position, which is helping corporate companies to save money. I think that you're getting in the right environment. So really quickly, quick words about me. So I'm being in the tech industry for more than 10 years, working as a recruiter, mostly for myself. I started like back in 2020, Stakha, which is a headhunting company specializing senior product and senior engineer folks, mainly working with early stage companies. Right now, our focus is definitely helping early stage company to build their funding teams. And it's like, yeah, we are able like to source candidates all around the world. Not so long ago, we had like a folks from New York that was working for Netflix, Spotify, whatsoever. And yeah, so really happy to help some great companies in France at this moment.
Thank you so much for the introduction. I've actually, when I look at your background and mine, I have the impression we're in the same room. We didn't think of
Yeah,
that. And also the line on the back. The change of funding. So let's start with the availability of funds. Since 2009, which was the year I started working in the financial industry, which was the financial crisis, we had very low interest rates and a lot of quantitative easing, which led companies to survive without needing to be profitable. Just for the fun facts, across the world, we have 7 companies that we call zombie companies in the financial jargon, which are companies that do not make money. 7,000 public companies. So they quote on the stock exchange, 2,000 of them in the United States. And it is definitely the quantitative easing and low interest rate that allowed that. Then inflation went out of control in 22, and central banks had no other opportunity than stop quantitative easing and rise interest rate drastically. I think everybody who has a mortgage or even rents felt it. So we had 4.25 in the Eurozone, 550 on the US side, and 525 for the Bank of England. So this dried out the funds in two ways. The first one is that it's much more expensive to borrow because you think 5% is not big, but if you borrow over 10 years, 5% can become very big. I think ballpark, I would say we're about 62%. And then also the expected return from investors has increased because now you can just buy treasury funds and have 5% return on your money. And so, and so this has given some challenge for the tech industry, which is a very startup oriented industry. And so, Amaury, I wanted to know, if you've probably seen it, but how have you seen companies trying to adapt to that new environment?
yeah, it definitely changed. I think we can call like the years 20 to 22, early 22, like the casino years, where like money were everywhere, spending like crazy. I've seen like companies that were just like making a fundraising of 10 million, say, okay, let's build a company of 100 folks, trying to think about strategy, HR. Yeah, let's make our employee happy. Yeah, so companies that were like more focused on building a nice working environment instead of making money, like or offering like position to manager, offering folks. I mean, I've seen like candidates that were like maybe having 2, 3 years of experience that were offered totally ends off position. So you had a lot of people that became managers, a lot of unnecessary people within companies. And I'm really sorry for some of my previous clients or previous candidates for saying that. I definitely see a big switch, especially in the way companies see profitability. I definitely see there were like some companies already before that was like focused on making money, and some of them right now, I'm thinking about one particular client, that they are making a lot of money, and that just like 20 people are working in the company. And so they always seen, I'm talking about them especially because they always seen the vision they had regarding the recruitment is now getting massive in the early stage companies. Like, okay, instead of hiring 20 folks, 30 folks, let's just start it with a founding team with less than 10 people. Let's find after that the product market fit and build, the revenue at the maximum point and then starting to hire. And
Mhm.
so I see like we often speak about, in the tech industry saying, yeah, the salary doesn't go high anymore. So, or we stop with remote. It's not really true in a way, like, for the really top-notch candidate, people that had the chance to work in a high growth company that know what is a product, that knows what is making money, we can definitely see their salary still going up. Now I have hands-on position, sorry, in Paris. I mean, Paris pay less than Berlin, Amsterdam, or London, so it's hard like to compete with those cities. But I see more and more role with six-figure salary on the hands-on position, and that wasn't the case few years ago. And so now what I see with companies, even if they're early stage company with first time founders, they really want to build a team of senior folks. They will less be focused on the salary of those people, but more focused on why they should hire that person. So right now companies only hire strong yes. When you have like when you want to hire people, you have like strong no, no, yes, or strong yes. And right now, they really want to hire strong yes. So it makes like recruitment far less easy than it used to, definitely. But on the other hand, I see also salary going up. So at the end, I think it's still a good moment for a recruitment company. I mean, not. I mean, I've seen also like some recruiters that getting a hard time right now. For Stakha, of course, it's a more challenging time, but it's not hard, especially because we succeed to make a great switch instead of just like, okay, let's build a 10 of 20 people. No, let's build a team of 10 great people. So I definitely see a switch in the way startup company hiring. Also, one thing that could be interesting is also the way those early stage companies see the market. Before, like a French startup will think, okay, let's start to first work with a French startup, then European startup. Now more and more startups just want to build like a product for the biggest market, which is the US. So I see a lot more and more tech companies based in France that just want to sell to the US. So that's definitely something that I see. Of course, not all the tech companies are impacted by those harder financial times. If you make money, no worries, you're gonna fundraise a lot of money. If you choose project, a little bit more risky, unless you are
Mhm.
in AI, it's gonna be tricky. I mean, if you want to build some, I don't know, like a way to, I'm thinking a lot about the education. There were a lot of MOOC platform. Right now is not the best time to start a company into that because we know that it's hard to make money out of that. But if you're early stage company, you're less than 10, you're already making money. There is a lot of money to fundraise for those kind of company.
Okay. So now it's really, you can't just have an idea and find some funds. You have to create your POC, prove that there is a demand, and then you start to hire little by little instead of hiring a team of 40 people in a few months.
Yeah, I think if you address the right market, we often talk about tech industry, but there is like a railway company in France that just made a fundraising on 1 billion to compete with SNCF for the reason that French folks knows. But yeah, so there is money. I mean, if there is a market opportunity, and the market opportunity is clear, it will be definitely easier to fundraise money than fundraise money on something that look nice on the paper, but that might not make sense in a revenue. I don't know how to say that in English, but in a way to see business.
In the for the position, you said that the companies today are want the perfect candidate, if I can say. I
Hmm.
guess it's sometimes a bit difficult to find too. But the question I want to ask you is, for example, in the job I do, you have a lot of data scientists, developers. Sometimes those projects have, it's a bit more difficult sometimes to prove the value of those projects. Have you seen in the job requirement of the company some more like revenue focus characteristic from candidates, like have created profitable project, not just like has done something in AI, for example, has created a profitable AI tool?
Yeah. So what companies will really be looking for is that experience in 0 to 1 project. So that's
Mhm.
becoming like the mainstream keywords. Everyone want 0 to 1 project. So it means really like, okay, we get the idea, we build the MVP, then we put it in production. We had more and more users. So that's what companies right now we will be looking for. Often something else that will come in the discussion is the product engineer. Every senior engineer needs to have a product mindset. So
Mhm.
before if you were like super good, so you had great technical skills, and that you were not having good skills in communication, in business whatsoever, company didn't really mind because they had a lot of money and they could put, okay, let's keep the technical people in that team and the one that are maybe open more business open to another team. Right now, as they don't have as much as money as before, or they want to spend less than before, they need really like Swiss knife folks. So I definitely see like that product mindset folks that is really needed. And when I see the best candidate I'm having right now is candidates that know what is a business, that understand what is a user, that understand also what is to build a real product. So yeah, you need to show off your experience and your skills in product that is being well shipped and that had already some traction.
That's very interesting. So we move away from that highly specific job task to you need to understand the business because obviously for some obvious reason, but that was forgotten a bit over the last years, is that you don't only need people very good at doing a task, you also need people who understand what the business does and how we can grow that business.
Yeah, yeah. Like someone told me, like I don't want like specialist, I want generalist.
Mm.
And yeah, I feel we're getting back in that kind of time where we prefer to have someone that is able like to do a little bit of everything than one thing really well, because you don't want anymore to be like super big teams. You want to have like really small teams, super efficient. And if they cannot do one specific task, then they might take a little bit more time to learn and to build that stuff, but still they will be able to do like the 99% of the rest of the products.
Amazing. Amazing. I'd like to move to the second subject, which is obviously AI. You might have heard about it a few times. I hear that word every single day, not even at my work, but every time you open a news I don't open newspaper, but you watch a newspaper online, it's
Mhm.
AI is everywhere. That's a sure thing. I'm going to start with a few numbers first. So in some job types in industry, AI has proven value. I don't know if you saw Klarna, who said recently that they mentioned that two-thirds of the queries is now managed with AI. That's 2.3 million of conversation, 700 agent less, and an estimated saving of 40 million, sorry. Another number is Nvidia now is worth a $3 trillion, so the same than Apple. However, there are also
And I
some.
think is the market value is bigger than the total market value of companies in Germany. But
Mhm.
if you take out Nvidia, what's going to happen to the world? And what if you take out the German economy? What's going to happen? So I think there's like, I mean, we never know. Honestly, we never know.
We
But
never know. No, it's true. It is true, and that's the next part of it is that however, there are some buts. Yes, to go back to NVIDIA specifically, a lot of people compare it to Cisco during the tech bubble, and Cisco never got back to its initial value. Obviously, I can't see the future. I'm not expert enough in the subject to know if it's the same, but I know a lot of people do the same comparison. Although, uh, Shamat from the All In podcast estimated that the yearly spend now is 100 billion. We spend 100 billion on chips, 200 billion on electricity, 100 billions on infrastructure, and there is a question about like have we proven the same value than the spend we're spending on? And two companies have been sanctioned for that, Salesforce and Dell. Salesforce obviously is not just AI, but those two companies have mentioned the big increase in AI cost and have seen the stock market follow decreasing by 20%. And so the the other concern is obviously AI is there now, but big companies takes a lot of time to adapt, as you might know, and we're going to go back to this in a minute. But so there is a concern for bigger companies that they will need to spend a lot of money before seeing any real tangible return on their investment. My opinion as a developer is that AI is brilliant to gather the information. And so that's really see as a developer, that's really where I see the added value to it. Before you needed to go in plenty of spaces to find the information you need. Now with just a chatbot that has access to that knowledge, everything is centralized in just one query. You can see the trend, right? Before for information, you needed to go to your library, and then you had to go to a few page on Google, and now we have everything into one. And definitely that's going to save a lot of repetitive work. But again, the question is the repetitive work around the world worth that the money we're spending right now? Because I do miss the intelligence part. That's my opinion in AI, is that it's not really creative. And if I can use coding again as
Mhm.
an example, once you get into complex coding problem, AI is completely useless. So I don't really see AI replacing senior developer anytime soon for the moment. Some people will say it's going to come with the next iteration, but what I can see with ChatGPT, for example, is that the move from 4 to 4.0, the improvement was much smaller than improvement from 3.5 to 4. So
Mhm.
my opinion is that we start to see a diminishing return in the improvement of of those model. So I'm pretty sure a lot of companies you work with, and maybe you work with some AI company, have a lot of AI in mind. And I would like to know if you've seen any big trends in the way companies recruit with the advance of AI.
Yeah, I mean, it's really new, so we cannot see. But one thing that I read not so long ago is that only company making money right now of AI were consultancy company. I think Accenture last year did like 200 or 3 million revenue just on AI projects. So we can make fun of that, saying yeah, there was a lot of fundraising for that. There was NVIDIA whatsoever. But we need to know that we have to keep in mind that this is super new, like the way with internet, like the internet, like there were like a big bubble in 2000, 2001. And then at that time, a lot of people were making fun of it. And now we see that we cannot do anything without internet. So is it the same thing for AI? I don't know. Is AI gonna replace everything? I'm not sure of that, but I can definitely see that. I don't really believe in the way that AI could replace high thinking tasks. I mean, even if it's quite sexy to think, but what I love with AI is really that capacity to delegate tasks. I have a client in France called Twin. They're doing a pretty amazing job. They're already having like a client, and it will allow you can. I mean, you can delegate tasks. You want, for example, to onboard a new employee. You don't have to do it by yourself or having an intern whatsoever. And you can definitely show the tool how to do it, and then you will be able like to repeat the task. So of course it's not perfect, but it's still working. And I've seen like some big French company already using the tool. It's a company with less than 10 people. It's working well. So it's not going to be perfect, but I think right now indeed it's quite costly. You see, like you spoke about ChatGPT, but I think that every time someone asks something to ChatGPT, even if they are paying user, it would cost more money to open AI. So well, regarding my client, I definitely see like a switch. A lot of clients wants to do AI stuff, but I think it's also needed in a way because if you don't do it, the competition will do it. Is like one of the best example I have in mind is Slack and Microsoft Teams. Before Slack, it was kind of complicated to communicate. And then Slack arrived, and then Microsoft, they tried like to keep their little thing. And then at some point they had to, to make a product that looked like Slack to offer the same experience to the client. And then
Mhm.
they took a bigger market than Slack. But I think is that what's happening with AI. And so we can definitely say AI in the way that you can automate a task. I'm using a lot of tool right now. They have like a small kind of AI, but it's really hard to say what is AI about. But just like that could summarize your email. I'm using, for example, Superhuman, and I could have long thread of emails, and can I just give me a summary of what's happening out there. So I definitely see a great trends regarding that. I also see like how much companies are ready to pay AI folks. That's quite interesting. Like I've seen not so long ago, like I think it's a French company that make like among the founders who had PhDs. So it was funny to see like I think it was a professor at Cambridge of Oxford. So you can see like professor now managing companies that worth billion. So I don't really remember what was your question, but I definitely see like what is AI about, and I think we can make fun of it, but I will definitely be part of what's happening right now in the future. And just one thing I like to add is that is like we need to find a way to make it interesting in a way that, drone, like 20 years ago, people were saying, yeah, drone are too expensive. It doesn't make sense. But now you can make drone for the price of a car. So when we will understand really what is our need regarding AI, and that AI will become a more and more commodity, it will definitely impact our lives. We cannot see it well now, but I think AI is going to be as important as internet has been to the humanity.
Yeah. But to go back to this comparison with the internet, we had a very high expectation in 2000, and then it went down for I think we took about 15 years to go back to the top of the internet bubble. So it's probably something that could happen to AI. So we always say that there is, in the short term, too high expectation on things, and then too low expectation on the long term.
Yeah.
But
In weddings too.
okay. And what is so do you think, for example, companies who have been funded before AI obviously had much bigger costs than companies were funded after AI because it's cheaper to build a product now? In theory, do you if you
Yeah,
use AI now,
yeah,
it's
yeah, definitely. I mean, AI or not AI, like for every technology, you want to open a startup. Before you used to have like a team that needs to build server, you need like tons of people. Right now, when I see clients making multiple millions a year just with a team of 10 people,
Mhm,
when the same for building the same product, like maybe 10 years ago, you will need like 50, 100 people. So
mhm,
yeah, I think it's the technology today that allows you to build great product with a
mhm.
smaller team. And yeah, I mean, when you can see what you can do with AI right now, yeah, definitely you can do much more with less people. That's definitely true.
Okay. So yeah. So the Yeah. So I want my open question is really wondering how the former companies are going to survive because they've been funded on, more money, they have more debt towards investors, and now you can do the same product for much less than before.
Regarding that, I don't know. I don't know. I think that a lot of companies has been overspending. It's been hard for a lot of folks. We have seen like a lot of layoffs, even if companies are well making money. Like we should not forget that Google made a layoff, Microsoft made a layoff, and I think the trigger was Twitter when we saw that you can lay off 75% of the company will still run. So I don't know if it's really like because of AI that companies will survive. I think it was just the time where it was where also investment fund were pushing. I had like Eco where fund was saying, yeah, you need to hire more, you need to hire more, you need to, your cost needs to be various, multiple million a month, whatever, even to have product market fit. So everyone was pushing to bring money to pay, to not to waste money, but like to have high cost. And now the companies right now, they're just maybe a little bit more careful. And the mindset regarding making money is totally different.
The conclusion to our conversation today, which makes me very excited, is that seems like yes, funding is more expensive, but we can do way more with less today with thanks to the technology that we have around us if we want to create a company that would challenge the status quo in big firms.
Yeah, I mean, regarding that, I totally agree with you. And also, like we spoke about AI, but I think we need to see that in more in a data way, that all the connection that AI could do and that a human cannot do, just analyzing millions of data, the AI can do it. And I think that's also why is the future world gonna be interesting. That I mean, you can look what China is doing. They're controlling a population of more than 1 billion, and I don't know if they're having more policemen or whatever, or and if AI allows them to have like the same impact with less people. But yeah, I definitely see like companies nowadays, at least on the money part. I'm not saying that they are building better products or whatsoever, but I definitely see now companies making more money with less people than before.
Nice. You gave the example of China, but in the UK, you've seen in average, recorded in average by 7 cameras when you walk during the day in London. We have a lot of cameras everywhere in London too.
Yeah, but then we don't know what they're doing. Then these cameras. But yeah, and I think in your job, definitely now even big companies are being more careful with money as they used to. So of course, if you succeed to build an AI tool that allow company to save a lot of money because they don't need the people or they don't need other technology, of course there will be like strong winners because we speak about Salesforce. It's like having Salesforce is a big company. They have a lot of employees. But if one day there is someone's building like a competitor of Salesforce with at a cheaper price and with a better user interface, yeah, big companies could be definitely at risk, especially in the SaaS industry.
Yeah, Salesforce minus 20% because yeah, there's been some layoffs. Sales team are reducing now. We're
Mhm.
moving away a bit from the SDR model to move more into a inbound model. I see that not everywhere, but I see this happening more and more. And I think on the SaaS side, it is true that well, I talk with a few people, and if you have a SaaS tool that you can't really prove revenue, it's getting really, really difficult now to sell.
Yeah, and I think that Salesforce and a lot of companies arrived in a new market. I mean, we can make Salesforce here, they're losing money, but it's crazy what they build. When you companies before Salesforce company had nothing. So they really build, what is like this modern CRM. But of
Mhm.
course, like not all the company want to put on Salesforce at some point, like you reach a peak. But for one Salesforce, we'll have maybe like 100 competition of Salesforce that might be better adapted to the specific sectors or specific companies. So I know the market is right now. The market is also harder because not everyone's want to have Salesforce. At some point, you have a limit in terms of company that want to buy a tool such as Salesforce.
Yeah, and your competitive advantage erode, right? When you create an amazing tool and you get profit from it, you get a decent margin, automatically you get competitors that will get into the market, and then you'll have to share that margin with other competitors. And so naturally your revenue will decrease. When you look at stock markets, for example, companies stays rarely more than 50 years in the stock market because they come and go. All the big leaders that we see today, like the big FANG, I think that's how we say it in English, are not, I'm 100% sure if history repeats itself, I'm not going to be the big leader you're going to see in 30 years. It's a cycle. And maybe, yes, maybe Salesforce is at the end of the cycle. But again, I don't know the subject super well, but I agree with you that they built something great and they had a good run with it.
Yeah, indeed. Perfect, Charlie. That was super nice talking to you. Amazing. Like we can have share those ideas regarding recruitment and AI. And I'm definitely sure that we can do something again like in September.
Awesome. Awesome. See you. Have a good day. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.